when God's been there from the beginning, trusting through the unimaginable welcome to soft girl era, the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. I'm LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. I recently had the honor of sitting down with Theresa James. And let me tell you, this conversation shook something loose in my spirit. Teresa's a woman who's walked through fire, faced demons, literal and metaphorical, and still stands here with her faith intact, her testimony wide open, and her gratitude overflowing. She's making the world a better place by refusing to let her story stay silent, by showing Black women that survival doesn't have to be our permanent address, and by proving that God's presence from the very beginning is the anchor we didn't know we desperately needed. So today, I'm sharing what Teresa taught me, what the women I've interviewed on this platform have shown me, and what I believe you need to hear right now. Because if you've been grinding, surviving, holding it all together with duct tape and a prayer, this is your permission slip to pause, to trust, and to let softness be your rebellion. Let's start here. Trusting God sustains you through unimaginable trials. I'm talking about the kind of trials that don't make it into polite church conversation, the kind that involve witchcraft, abuse, violence, despair, and the kind of darkness that makes you question if you'll see morning. Theresa James knows this intimately. She's faced sexual abuse, domestic violence, suicide attempts, and spiritual warfare that would break most people. But here's the thing: God's presence from the beginning, that foundation, that anchor kept her going. Now I know some of you are sitting there thinking, LeAnne, I've been through hell and back, and I'm not sure God was anywhere near that mess. I hear you. But what Teresa and the women I've interviewed, like Talika Worsham and Cherise Marion, have shown me is this: God's presence isn't always a lightning bolt or a burning bush. Sometimes it's the quiet whisper that says, not today, not like this. Sometimes it's the inexplicable strength to get out of bed when your body and mind are screaming to stay down. Sometimes it's the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still fighting, even when you don't know why. Let me tell you about Talika Worsham. When I sat down with her, I witnessed a woman who had navigated survival mode as a Black woman, facing emotional and spiritual hardships that kept her in constant struggle. She practiced something I hadn't heard articulated quite that way before: courageous listening to testimony. She allowed pain to transform into purpose via faith, wisdom, and intentional growth. Her breakthrough came from pausing to receive and apply lessons, moving from survival to softness and clarity. Growing up with layers of adversity, Talika learned to let divine wisdom guide her, much like trusting God from the start in a Christian foundation. She unlocked doors to wisdom and purpose, rising with unshakable faith and Holy Spirit led understanding. And now, she inspires Black women to embrace softness beyond survival, fostering community wide growth through shared testimonies. That's what trusting God from the beginning looks like. It's not about having all the answers or never doubting. It's about recognizing that even in the darkest valley, you weren't alone. Even when you couldn't feel him, he was there. Even when the abuse was happening, when the violence was raging, when the suicidal thoughts were screaming, God was holding the pieces of you that you couldn't hold yourself. And here's the part that gets me every time: faith combined with key supporters like family and the Holy Spirit turns survival into triumph. Theresa James leaned on Granny's wisdom, personal experience, and divine gifts of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to persevere. She didn't do it alone, and way neither should you. Let's talk about Granny for a second. For so many of us, Granny or that granny figure is the one who held us down when the world was falling apart. She's the one who prayed when we couldn't, who spoke life when we were drowning in death, who reminded us of who we were when we forgot. Teresa's granny was that anchor, that wise supporter who pointed her back to God when everything else was chaos. But it's not just granny, it's the Holy Spirit. It is that divine wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that shows up when you need it most. Sherez Marion, another incredible woman I interviewed on Soft Girl Era, talked about being trapped in survival mode due to relentless hardships, mirroring domestic violence, abuse, and suicidal thoughts. She recognized survival as a superpower while seeking faith driven release, supported by spiritual guides and experience. Her transition from prison like survival to empowered living echoed gratitude for making it this far. Amid a life of ongoing battles akin to witchcraft and demonic encounters, Charest drew on inner faith and family like anchors. She harnessed survival into bold purpose, gaining divine gifts of knowledge and understanding, and now she empowers Black professionals to break free, building resilience in entrepreneurial and leadership circles. That's what happens when you combine faith with key supporters. You don't just survive, you triumph, you rise, you transform pain into purpose, and you do it with a testimony so powerful that it changes lives. Now, here's where it gets real. Your life story is a testimony shared openly as a blessing. Theresa James lives her life like an open book. Her adventures, and trust me, they've been wild, prove that gratitude and faith lead to making it this far without giving up. She doesn't hide her scars, she doesn't sugarcoat the mess. She shares it all because she knows that her story is someone else's survival guide. Talika Worsham did the same thing. From Christian roots facing life's wild adventures, Talika persisted without giving up. Much like divine companionship through all, she achieved intentional breakthroughs, blessed with wisdom, knowledge, and unyielding faith. And now she transforms Black women's communities by modeling how faith turns one adventure after another into inspiring legacies. Your story, the one you've been hiding because it's too messy, too painful, too raw, that's the one someone needs to hear. That's the one that's going to set someone free. That's the one that's going to remind a sister that she's not alone, that she's not crazy, that she's not beyond redemption. But here's the thing, sharing your story isn't about trauma dumping, it's about testimony. It's about showing people that God brought you through, that faith sustained you, that you made it this far and you're not giving up. It's about gratitude. It's about recognizing that every trial, every tear, every moment you thought you wouldn't survive, it all led you here. And here is exactly where you're supposed to be. I know that's easier said than done. I know some of you are thinking, LeAnne, I'm tired. I've been surviving for so long. I don't even know what rising looks like. I get it, but here's the truth. Rising doesn't mean you have to have it all figured out. Rising doesn't mean you never fall. Rising means you trust God enough to take the next step, even when you can't see the whole staircase. Rising means you lean on that one person, that granny figure, that friend, that therapist, that pastor, whoever it is, and you let them hold you up when you can't hold yourself. Rising means you share your story, not because it's pretty, but because it's powerful. Because here's the thing, survival mode is exhausting. It's that constant state of fight or flight, of waiting for the other shoe to drop, of never being able to rest because you're too busy protecting yourself from the next blow. But God didn't create you to live in survival mode. He created you to thrive. He created you to rest. He created you to experience joy, peace, softness, and radical self love. Theresa James knows this. Talika Worsham knows this. Sheree Marion knows this. And now you know this too. So let's talk about what this looks like practically. How do you shift from survival to softness? How do you trust God when your past has taught you that trust is dangerous? How do you share your story when you've spent years hiding it? First, you pause, you take a breath, you give yourself permission to stop grinding, stop hustling, stop proving, and just be. You recognize that your worth isn't tied to your productivity, your strength, or your ability to hold it all together. Your worth is inherent, it's God given, it's unshakable. Second, you lean on your faith and your supporters. You find that one person, that granny figure who sees you, who believes in you, who reminds you of who you are when you forget. You let the Holy Spirit guide you, give you wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You trust that God's been there from the beginning and He's not going anywhere now. Third, you share your story. You open up that book. You let people see the messy, the painful, the raw, because that's where the power is. That's where the healing is. That's where the transformation is. And here's the beautiful part: when you do this, when you pause, when you trust, when you share, you don't just change your own life, you change the lives of everyone around you. You give other Black women permission to drop the cape, to embrace softness, to trust God, to share their stories. You create a ripple effect of healing, of wholeness, of freedom. Theresa James is doing this. Talika Worsham is doing this. Sharice Marion is doing this, and you can do this too. So here's what I need you to understand: your pain has a purpose, your trauma has a testimony, your survival has a story. And God, the one who's been there from the very beginning, he's not done writing your chapters yet. You see, when Talika talked about her journey, she described it as emotional prisons of trauma, including layers of abuse and spiritual warfare from demonic influences. But she also described deep listening to God's voice, trusting from the beginning, and applying Holy Spirit wisdom with experiential growth. Her pain was alchemized into purpose, clarity, and softness. Her testimony, an open book of victory. That's the shift. That's the transformation. That's what happens when you stop running from your story and start running with it. And I want to be clear about something. This isn't about toxic positivity. This isn't about slapping a smile on your face and pretending everything is fine. This is about radical honesty. This is about looking your pain in the eye and saying, "You don't get to define me. You don't get to destroy me. You're going to be the fuel for my purpose." Because that's what Teresa did. That's what Talika did. That's what Sheray's did. They took the worst moments of their lives and turned them into the most powerful testimonies. They took the abuse, the violence, the suicidal thoughts, the spiritual warfare, and they said, "God used this. Turn this into something that heals someone else." And God did. He always does. So here's my challenge to you. Today, right now, pause. Take a breath. Trust God. Lean on your faith and your supporters and share your story, even if it's just with one person, because your testimony is a blessing. Your adventures, wild as they may be, prove that gratitude and faith lead to making it this far without giving up. And remember, you're not alone. God's been there from the beginning. He's carrying you through the mess. He's giving you wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. He's turning your survival into triumph. And He's not done with you yet. So rise, rise with His wisdom, rise with your faith, rise with your testimony. And don't you dare give up, because the world is waiting for what you've got. The world is waiting for your story. The world is waiting for your softness. The world is waiting for you to stop surviving and start thriving. The world is waiting for you to trust God like He's been there from your beginning, because He has. Lean on your faith. Lean on that one wise supporter. Share your open book story boldly. Don't just survive. Rise with His wisdom. No giving up. And when you do, When you finally step into your soft girl era, when you finally drop the cape and embrace the softness, when you finally trust God enough to share your testimony, you'll realize something profound. You'll realize that every tear you cried watered the seeds of your purpose. You'll realize that every battle you fought trained you for the victory you're about to claim. You'll realize that God's been orchestrating this all along, turning your mess into your message, your test into your testimony, your pain into your power. So go and be the open book. Go and be the testimony. Go and be the proof that God sustains you through unimaginable trials. Go and be the evidence that faith, combined with key supporters, turns survival into triumph. Go and be the living, breathing reminder that your life story is a blessing. Because when you do, you won't just change your life, you'll change the world. One testimony at a time, one truth at a time, one bold, unapologetic, faith filled step at a time. Now go, trust God, lean on your faith, share your story, and rise because the world needs what you've been through. The world needs what you've overcome. The world needs you.